Hey guys, how you doing? It's David again. Thanks for joining me. I'm going to show you today how to make some barbecue beans. It's a recipe that I've borrowed from elsewhere on the net, tried it out myself and adapted, just made it my own basically, and you can do the same. So I'm going to show you that today. What we're going to do, I've actually got all the ingredients are just laid out over here. I'm going to show you how to put this together, and then we're actually going to put it onto the grill just outside. We've got some brisket on there at the moment, and when the brisket comes off for resting, we're going to put the beans on to give them some really good smoke. So we're going to do that now. See you in a bit. Right, I've got some oil in a pan over here, so we're just going to start some saute of some onions. We've got some onions, I've got some fairly chunky smoked lardons, which are always good. I've also got some leftover bacon. It's just some streaky bacon from when I did a previous recipe for some chicken. I'll do that another time. So basically I'm going to put that in for flavour, and also as a bit of a texture difference to the chunkier lardons. When it all we're going to give it so long, it's going to have 2 or 3 hours at least. It's going to all cook down really nicely. So yeah, it will give some really amazing flavour and good texture as well. We've got a couple of different types of rub. I've got my sort of all-purpose general barbecue rub, just for some seasoning really, and this in here is my SPG standard salt, pepper, garlic mix, which I'll talk about, and I have talked about in other videos. Standard barbecue sauce, some garlic paste. You can use just chunks of cloves of garlic instead. And then I've got a couple of different types of beans. I've got some regular baked beans, I've got some mixed beans, which you can find, and I've also got another tin of baked beans, but they're just draining. What I'm going to do with the beans, I'm going to leave one with the juice in, the standard tomato sauce. I'll drain the water off the mixed beans, and I'm also draining the other tin of beans. There's going to be 2 tins of regular beans, one with sauce, one without. And the reason is, it's just so that you've got some capacity to make the sauce using some of the other components without it just sort of being too dominated and too, I guess, too diluted and too soupy, because it's obviously going to cook for a long time, but you still want it to cook down quite nicely and not be too loose. In the sauce department, I've got some regular ketchup. We're probably going to use most of that, to be honest. It's going to be around about a cup, maybe just under. We've got some regular yellow mustard, French's yellow mustard. I've got some seasoning sauce, which I always keep some of this for seasoning everything I do. I'm really into my sort of umami flavours. I really like seasoning. I really like salty, well-seasoned food, and I use this a lot in replacement of salt. The other thing I would use is soy sauce, but Maggi liquid seasoning. This is the hot stuff, so it's, as you can see, it says it's pretty hot. It's got a little bit of extra spice in it, so I'm not going to put any chili or anything like that in this today. I've got some regular Worcester sauce, and I've also got some granulated brown sugar, just to give it some sweetness as well. The only other thing I'm going to do, which I haven't done at the moment, is chop up and put in some red peppers, just some sliced red peppers, and anything else really you fancy. If there's something you really want to put in there that you think will add some flavour, then just go for it. So I'm going to see you shortly. Okay guys, I'm starting off by just putting a tiny little bit of oil into a pan. You don't need a lot, because to cook the onions, we're first going to sort of fry off the pancetta, or yeah, the lardons I should say, and the smoked bacon. And obviously within those, when the fat starts to render, it does actually put a fair bit of fat in there. So we're going to go ahead and put those in now and start things off. And that'll give you more than enough oil for the rest of the bits and pieces you're going to be putting in. So that all goes in, and cook that off. And when it's nice and brown, we'll come in with the onions. All right, welcome back. You'll see we've got a nice amount of colour on the bacon now. All the lardons and everything all nicely crisped up. So I'm just going to go and hit it straight away with the onions, and give those a stir, and we'll get those nicely softened and brown. There we go, nicely softened and brown. I'm just going to add in some red peppers. I've just had a sweet pointed red pepper. I also had a leftover red chilli that I just seeded one half of it, just so it just took a little bit of the heat out. I'm just going to get those mixed together, just to make the point. what we're doing here, we're not actually going to be cooking the beans. The beans themselves obviously don't need to be cooked because they've already been pre-cooked. What we're just doing here with this mixture is getting all these ingredients together and getting the beans in just to give it all a good head start, so when it does go onto the smoker, you're not going to be waiting for the onion to soften and for the meat to come up to temperature. It's already going to have been done. It just gives us a really good head start. Okay, next thing we're going to do is start adding some of the other ingredients. Okay, right, you can see that's right where I want it to be now. Everything's nicely, well, it's just all nicely softened and reduced down. Starting to catch a little, so we definitely need to think about what we're going to do. The temperature's just turned right down to the lowest it can go, so the next thing is in with the beans. So we've got, there's the tin of beans that had most of the sauce drained. Now we're going to go in with another can of the mixed beans. Let's pull back a little. And finally, the last one was the can that still had all the sauce in it, just to give us plenty. But what we're going to do is ultimately is, if you didn't want to do this on the grill, you don't have to. I've done these before, and you can actually just put it into a crock pot and put it in the oven quite low. It cooks absolutely beautifully. It would do the same. But obviously, because we've got the grill going today, it makes sense to put it outside on the barbecue and just get some smoke rolling through it as well. So I'm going to get all that mixed together and then just add some more flavours. Okay, beans are mixed. Let's start building the flavours. I'm going to put in just a level tablespoon of garlic paste, and next up we're going to go with just about a cup of tomato ketchup. Drain all of that. Next up, some Worcestershire sauce. Now I like Worcestershire sauce, and it's a flavour that I think it lends itself really, really well to all sorts of savoury foods, especially barbecue. So I go with probably about 2 level tablespoons, I'd imagine. Now I'm going to go in with a good amount, a couple of handfuls of just soft brown sugar. So I'd say that's probably about 4 tablespoons of brown sugar. What you can do with this, because you're cooking it along the way, just sort of taste it and adjust it before you put it onto the barbecue. And you can always adjust the profile of the seasoning towards the end as well when it comes off. It's not a major problem. It's very, very forgiving, this type of recipe. So I'm just going to give these a mix, and then we're going to add some more in. Alright, here's a quick tip for you. You might have remembered I ran out of ketchup previously. It was basically down to the last squirts. I wanted to put a little bit of water. I was probably going to put about half a cup of water into this anyway, just to kind of keep things just ticking over. So what I've actually done is boiled the kettle before it reaches boiling. Just pour the hot water into the leftover ketchup and give it a good shake, and then tip it in. And then it does 2 things. You manage to loosen up all the rest of the ketchup that's left in the bottom of the bottle, but also you get your water in there as well. So that's that part done. Next I'm going to use my Maggi hot liquid seasoning. You do have to be quite careful with this because it a little does go a long way, but because we've got such a big pan here, I'm probably going to go with it's probably around about a tablespoonful. It comes out in very, very small jots, and that's for good reason really. So I'm using that instead of salt. If you remember me saying before, soy sauce is a good alternative. And then I'm just going to go with probably about half a cup to a cup of barbecue sauce, Sweet Baby Ray's in this case. It doesn't need to be really, really good barbecue sauce, but this stuff's pretty good. I think it's been in the bargain aisle at Lidl for, well, since way before Christmas anyway, good few weeks. And then I'm going to give it about a couple of tablespoons of yellow mustard. That's gone in. As I said, it's a really forgiving thing, so you don't have to be really precise with anything. You'll find that it's very, very easy to adjust and get it to your sort of flavour and your taste preference. I'm going to mix all that in, and then the last thing is really just a little bit of a final seasoning. So I'm just going to make sure that settles down and then I'll come back to it. I'm going to turn the temperature down as well. Just pop it down to a low heat. I'll see you in 5. Right, we're fully off the heat now. It's done all the cooking it needs to at this stage, so I'm just going to give it a fine sort of coating, a fine layer of the sort of general, the all-purpose barbecue rub that I mentioned I make up. The main ingredients in that are going to make a difference are smoked paprika. Try to get the standard sweet smoked paprika rather than hot, especially if you don't like spicy food. I love it, but you'll end up putting everybody else off. And then just some standard SPG as well, just to give it some peppery notes. You might decide after you've stirred this and had a good taste, you might want some more pepper or one thing or another. You shouldn't need any more salt because it's definitely salty enough, and it surely should be sweet enough as well with the brown sugar. But you can also add in things like maple syrup either now or towards the end, and it will give it a real boost if you like your barbecue beans a lot sweeter. But that's it now. I'm going to leave that, just let it cool a little bit, and I'm going to transfer it into one of these silver pans. It's going to go into one of those, and then that's going to be ready to go onto the barbecue once my brisket's done. And that's about it now. Right there you can see I've just transferred it into one of these foil pans. They're brilliant for using sort of like single use on the barbecue. You'll see later when we go to put it on, it's really, really easy. The only other thing I'm going to do is just put a couple of bay leaves in. I'm just going to stir those through, and then they'll impart a little bit of flavour through the final bit of cooking as well. Apart from that, just time to clear down, and I've saved myself some because I'm going to have that on some toast, a bit of a pimped up beans on toast for lunch. So I shall see you when we go to transfer it later. Bye for now. Alright folks, it's out to the smoker now with the beans. They're going to go for a couple of hours. Doesn't matter too much if you come back and give them a stir and you do disrupt it. It's not like a piece of brisket, it's not going to sort of stall and affect the cooking time, but they're all good and ready to go. Some more coals on there, so we'll see you in at least an hour. Alright guys, it's time for the big reveal on the beans. So they've been on there for just over 2 hours. So they've got a lovely crust to them actually. Lots of lovely sort of jamminess and crispiness around the edges. Really nice colour, nice and dark. I'm not going to stir them yet, I'm going to just get them inside and I'm going to have a look at them. So good. You can see the skin that was on them there because I'm just giving it a quick stir, and see the change in colour. So I'll give that a mix through, make sure they're all nicely mixed up. Quick taste. Let's see if we can get a bit of the bacon on there. Oh my goodness. Yep. Winner.